Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mental Gymnastics, part of the All Things Gymnastics podcast. I am Dr. JD Barton, and if you're new here, this is the space where we sit down with retired gymnasts and go beyond the medals and all the highlight reels. We talk about the pressure, the setbacks, identity questions, things that come with being an elite athlete, and what life looks like once competition is behind you. Today, I am overjoyed to be speaking with a gymnast whose career speaks for itself. Maggie Nichols was a member of the 2015 U.S. World Championships team, winning gold, where she also earned an individual bronze medal on floor exercise. At the University of Oklahoma, she became one of the most decorated gymnasts in NCAA history. She's an 8-time national champion with 6 individual titles, including back-to-back all-around crowns in 2018 and 2019. Along the way, she racked up 22 perfect 10 scores, the 4th most in NCAA history, with only 3.5 years of competition, but we'll talk about that later. She also helped lead the Sooners to 2 team national championships and finished her collegiate career with 30 All-America honors, the most in program history. Beyond the record books, as you all know, she's somebody whose steady and quiet courage ended up shaping the sport in ways that go far beyond what we see on the floor. Her career is built on consistency, skill, and integrity on and off the mat. Join us in welcoming the Maggie Nichols. Yay!
Hello. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited. I'm a little starstruck. I'm pretty floored, but also just really just grateful that you've been willing to come on and talk about a lot about your experience, because you've had such a public career. I'm curious, before we even jump into all of those things, the experience of becoming a name in gymnastics is one thing, but the ways in which you have just sort of always had spotlight on you in all of those ways. How does that feel to just have everybody with their eyes on you all the time?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting feeling. I think that kind of started when I was probably in high school, but I think that just comes with being in gymnastics, being an elite gymnast, and I think being on USA team kind of put me in that spotlight for a while. But I guess I got kind of used to it and kind of loved meeting all the fans and meeting people on social media and stuff. So I've kind of learned to love it. It can be obviously hard at times, but I think it's fun to build relationships that way.
Well, give us a little background then for those who, I guess, live under a rock, or I suppose maybe some of our younger fans out there who are not as familiar. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us just a little bit about where you got started in gymnastics and sort of what that transition was from kid being pulled and plucked into elite kind of contention, and then transitioning into elite? What was all that like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I started gymnastics at 3 years old. My parents put me in because I was a crazy kid. I had 3 older brothers, and I was trying to do everything that they were doing, climbing over the fence probably before I could even walk, climbing out of my crib, all that fun jazz. So they put me in gymnastics at 3. I loved it from the moment that I started. I never wanted to leave the gym. If I wasn't in the gym, I was outside making up routines, doing gymnastics all over the house, things like that. But it wasn't until, I think, 2004, I was watching Carly Patterson at the Olympics, and I was just I want to do that. I want to be just like her. So I always loved the sport of gymnastics. I always wanted to be the best that I possibly could. But I think I was 6 or 7 when I watched her, and kind of put that big goal in my head of okay, maybe I want to try to, make it to the Olympics one day. I went through the levels pretty quickly. I did a year of level 7, a meet of level 8, a year of level 9, and then I did 4 years of level 10. And through those 4 years of level 10, I was also trying to qualify to be an elite. And I was a gymnast who I had the skills, but I struggled with form. My legs were all over the place, bent knees. And so I kind of struggled with trying to qualify. But I think I was 13 when I finally qualified to become an elite. And again, it took me a while to kind of build up the ranks a little bit. I was kind of the underdog for a while, went through a lot of injuries, different setbacks and things. But I think I was 15 or 16 when I kind of started to build up build up a little bit and make USA national team. Was able to travel around the United States, the world, competing for USA. Made it to a world championship. Won the gold medal, which was such a big goal for me. Again, it took me a while to get there, and so that world championship is really life-changing for me and such a great opportunity. And then after my elite career was done, I was able to go to the University of Oklahoma, which I had the absolute best experience, learned so many incredible life lessons there, accomplished a lot, and became an 8-time national champion, and ended my gymnastics career on, I don't know, I look back and just smile at it. I just learned so many incredible things, and that's kind of a little bit about my gymnastics journey so far.
Yeah, that's a really, I mean, talk about a snapshot. Just in like 5 sentences, you just named more things than most of us accomplish in our entire lifetime. That's really amazing. I'm curious, like, you know, your name comes up in a lot of different conversations about gymnastics, particularly on the Gymternet and with gym fans, etc. One of them is the 2016 team selection, in that I think is probably one of the more like controversial. Everybody has an opinion about that team selection in a way that is, I think, a little different than most other years. How was, for those listening, Maggie was not named to the team and wasn't named as an alternate, despite being a very likely candidate for one or both of those things. I'm curious, how did it feel kind of walking away from that experience? How did it feel kind of leaving the national team in that kind of way?
Yeah, it was pretty tough. So 2015 was probably my breakout year, my best year that I had in elite. That was when we won the world championship, and I was kind of at my peak right there.
Bronze medalist on floor at the world championships.
So yeah, that was amazing.
Pretty incredible.
But after 2015, early in 2016, I was getting ready for an international competition, hurt my knee earlier that year. And so that whole year was pretty hard for me. Obviously, I had to undergo surgery and try to get back to that peak shape that I was in 2015. And I really did everything that I possibly could to get back into that same shape, same everything, which was pretty hard mentally, physically, everything. But 2016 Olympic trials obviously came up a little bit short, didn't make that team. In the moment, it was life-shattering. I mean, my whole life I wanted to go to the Olympics, and you're like this close, like a couple spots away. And that's a lot to process when you're 18 years old. But I think when I went home from Olympic trials, I kind of just realized, like, I have this opportunity to go to the University of Oklahoma, and I get to compete 4 more years there. And so I really tried to change my mindset and just try to be excited for this next step in my journey. And even though I didn't make the Olympics, like, I still have so much more to look forward to. Obviously, that took a lot for me to get to that point. Obviously, I was still upset and disappointed and still processing all of that while I was excited to take that next step. But again, I just, in that moment of devastation, I try not to like dwell on that and like look back at my career in elite and just like know that I did everything that I could, and I worked so hard. I had so many great opportunities. I traveled around the world. I met so many incredible people. But I mean, obviously I felt what I needed to feel, but also I tried to just look forward and look at the positive things in that. And so I think that's what helped me get through that difficult moment.
Yeah. Does it feel validating, or does it feel like irritating and triggering when people bring these things up to you? Are you like, thank you for your opinion, I also wish that was true? Or are you just sort of like, let's move on?
I don't really mind when people bring it up. I think it's just a big part of my story. And obviously, like, going to Olympic trials was an accomplishment in itself. So
huge.
I don't mind it when people bring it up at all.
Yeah, it is one of those, it's just the nature of like a judged subjective sport, that it's like people get to have opinions on who was better on the day in a way that other sports don't have. I'm curious, like, you talk about, and we're going to talk quite a bit about your experience at Oklahoma, but I do think, like, for those listening now, right, Oklahoma is the absolute dynasty in gymnastics in this moment, but you committed to Oklahoma in what I would guess 8th grade.
I think it was a summer after eighth grade. Yeah. Like
Okay.
going into ninth grade, I think somewhere around there, eighth or ninth grade.
Yeah. So, which would have been just before they ever had a national title. They got their first one in 2014.
Yes.
Your first season was 2017. So, how did you know? I mean, how did you know that this was the place to go and where all of this would be happening?
Yeah, it's crazy because I knew from a young age that I wanted to go there. Funny story, I went to OU camp when I was 10 years old. I went with some of the older gymnasts that were at my gym at Twin City Twisters, and they kind of just invited me to go along just for fun. They were being recruited back then, but went to camp when I was 10. All the coaches that are the coaches now were the coaches when I was 10 years old, which is so crazy to even think about. And our trainer, Jen Richardson, was also the trainer then. But I just had so much fun at that camp. And I think when I was being recruited at, I don't even know how old I was at eighth grade, 14, 15, Oklahoma always was in the back of my mind. And I knew that those coaches were the best coaches and they were going to coach me the best that I needed to be coached. And I wanted to win when I went to college. I wanted to win championships, and I knew that those coaches were going to do that. And so I went to other colleges. I did the tours and everything, but I always thought about Oklahoma, and I wanted to be an Oklahoma Sooner. And so I guess I just had that gut feeling, and my gut feeling was right for me. I had just the best experience there.
I mean, you certainly picked the right horse to bet on. You had 3 years of going to NCAAs, only limited because in your fourth year was 2020, COVID year, and 2 out of those 3 years you guys took home a title. 1 year you had to settle for second place. So that is a pretty incredible record.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Not a lot of gymnasts can say they left with second place in the team being the lowest they ever hit.
Yeah, that was a gut-wrenching one, but it's okay.
Yeah. Well, as an Angelino, as the fans know, I live in Los Angeles, and so that 2018 title means a lot to us.
Yeah, that was so exciting though. They did absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Well, and to bring it back to you, and to say though that like you really started a pretty incredible legacy, but also, as we're talking about it, that 2020 season, you had 2018 and 2019 individual all-around titles, which I still think is a record. I don't think anybody else has taken 2 in a row, I think, but the internet can correct me, and that's fine.
I think maybe Courtney Coupettes, possibly. I think Courtney.
Okay, so probably tied the record. That 2020 experience, even just as a fan, was gut-wrenching. Obviously, for those listening, we have respect for the fact that a global pandemic happened, and we're gonna hold space instead for the grief that we had as gymnasts and gymnastics fans. But that, you, as I said, 22 perfect tens in college, and you ended up with like 6 or 7 weeks less of opportunity to go further. Your career ended really not on your own terms, and not in the way that most gymnasts' careers end, not on their own terms. Terrible sentence, but you know what I mean? Like, there was no injury. It was just the world. Like, how did you, what was that experience like for you? And what was it like moving past that?
Yeah, very interesting experience. I think it being my senior year, I just always imagined ending my career, on my terms, like you said, and in my control. And so we are preparing for the national championships. Like, we were just doing meet after meet. Also, we are about to go to Minnesota for one of our last regular season meets, which that's my hometown. And I was just over the moon to have one more big competition in Minnesota, have all my family be there. So we were kind of gearing up for that. It was like the week before we went to Minnesota. And so I was so excited, just training as usual. And we were at practice, and the coaches let us finish through the practice, which I love that they let us, just kind of finish and just I don't know, and brought us all into the team room and told us that the season was done. This, just in a blink of an eye, our careers, everyone, a lot of the gymnasts, their seasons was done. That's devastating in itself. But the seniors, it's our careers were done in just a snap of our fingers. So I think we all just kind of sat in that room for a while and kind of just tried to process things. I'm not going to go into practice anymore. this is it. So it was hard for me to process. Again, like I started gymnastics at 3, and it's been my whole life since 3 to 22, and then, wanting to finish out our season. So it was a lot to process, but again, we try not to dwell on that disappointment and just kind of look at the positives of our season. Like, I was coming off 2 all-around titles. I believe I was ranked number 1 in the all-around that year, and then our team was ranked number 1. So that's kind of like what I kept telling myself, is like, we were on pace to, do our best again. So just did everything that I could that season, and I don't know, but it doesn't make it any easier. I hate the word "what if," and so sometimes I struggle with like putting that in my head. Sometimes, like, what if we would have finished that season? Like, what would have happened? But that's something I try not to say in any area of my life, like what if, having any regrets or anything. So I try not to think about that too often, but it is hard to think about sometimes, like what would have happened. But again, I knew I did everything that I could that senior year, and I ended on good terms as I could have. And so it was a lot to process though, but I don't know.
It is my Roman Empire. I think about that. I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
We all, that was also, I should say, my first season as an NCAA fan. I was an elite follower.
Yeah.
And then I did my residency at UCLA. And so it was so easy to go from my office to the meets. They were literally like, the building
That's
is,
so fun.
yeah. So that was the season though, that I was like, what is this sport? College gymnastics is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
Right?
And then the rug got pulled out from under us. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it impacted me more than you. I'm sure it was very hard for me, and I appreciate you holding space for that today. Well, I'm curious then, in general, like the mentality of competing, as I said, you always had a lot of eyes on you. In college, I would imagine that was even amped up even more. Mm-hmm. There's a particular moment that I wanted to check in with at NCAA's your freshman year. Mm-hmm. Walk us through what happened in semis, and walk us through what happened in finals.
Yeah. So semifinals is obviously you're trying to qualify for the team final the second day, but also it's individual titles too. So like individual events and then all around. Again, my freshman year was kind of a great year for me. I think I had 100% hit rate that year leading up to nationals. And so day 1 of competition, I think it was the fourth rotation. And I was doing pretty well. And beam came around, and I ended up having a fall on my front tuck. And I had a goal of winning the all around that year, as well as the team. But had that fall, and that was kind of devastating for me. It was a lot for me to process, and I literally the next day you have to kind of reel it back in and focus, and you have to help your team win that championship. But I came back the second day, had probably one of my best meets. Came back on beam, scored a perfect 10, helped the team win that national title, which was a dream come true for me. But that took a lot for me to like mentally, get back on track after that fall. But I think moments like that really shaped me as an athlete and as a person. I mean, I learned so many lessons in that moment, and in that process of going to day 2 and like having to mentally focus for that next routine and help the team win the championship. So I think it's like disappointing moments in our life and in our careers that like really shape us and grow us. And so obviously that was disappointing. Didn't, win that all around title, but it made me a stronger athlete and a better athlete, and just allowed me to learn so many incredible lessons.
How was that as a freshman, having that sort of like pressure, but also that like team support?
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. Just coming from elite to college, having all the team behind you, the coaches, all the athletes, everyone behind you in moments like that is specifically, it's absolutely amazing. We're pretty much one big family, so really just leaned on them, leaned on the coaches and everything. But it's college gymnastics is just so special in that way that you have so much support and teammates that feel like sisters. So it was just an incredible experience, and yeah, loved the relationships I built.
Well, and can I ask, this is a little inside baseball, but I do have a point here. Where were you in the lineup on beam?
I was second to last my freshman year. One of our seniors was the anchor, and so she absolutely killed it and nailed her routine, thanks to her. But yeah, I was second to last in the lineup.
So for those who are just getting into college gymnastics, lineups are made to build scores. And to get a perfect 10 anywhere other than the sixth spot is even harder, right? Like you have to be, because you've had less sort of momentum and skill and score building. So I just want to say, like, for those listening, she didn't just like anchor and get the 10. She also was like mid rotation. Yes, later she's in the back half, but still like going from a fall to a 10 at nationals where there are also 6 judges. I need everybody to also hear that. To get a 10 at a dual meet is 2 judges. So you need at least 4 out of the 6, top and the bottom. So you need 4. You really need 5. You need 5 people to give you a 10 because the top score, of course, has to be thrown out. So you can only have 1 in 6 people say no. That I just want to say that's like the 10iest 10.
Yeah.
A 10 at NCAA finals is that is magic. So and you guys should watch. You can watch the routine on YouTube, and it's real good. It was a pretty great sports moment in general, but I just want to gas you up a little harder because that's what I get to do, and it'd probably be weird if you gassed yourself up that hard. But you know what? We're here for it if that's what you want to do.
Well, thank you so much. That moment honestly was magical, like you said. So
yeah, I mean, that was a good sports moment.
Absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit about another topic that you've discussed a little bit in your book and in some interviews, but you've talked about, as a gymnast, the ways in which body image, eating, diet culture, all of that sort of impacted you. Can you tell me a little bit about some of your struggle with that and then kind of where you've come out and landed as an adult?
Yes, absolutely. So in my elite career, obviously you want to become your best self, your peak athleticism, everything. And in gymnastics, I mean, back then, I guess you could say, there was like a certain body image that they wanted you to achieve. And I'm a taller gymnast. I have bigger muscles. And so there was a certain physique that they were trying to get me to get to. And so that required really strict dieting. Trigger warning for anyone listening, but just strict dieting. I ate a lot of protein, not a lot of like fuel foods like carbs, things like that. So I ended up getting into great shape, like low body fat. It was strong, but it kind of got me into a lot of different struggles, low energy, brain fog, not being able to perform my best just because I didn't have that energy. And so I think going into college, I was so fortunate to have such great resources, and we were fueled correctly. We're educated on nutrition. We were given meals, things like that. And so it kind of like healed my relationship with food. I mean, it took some time, but now being outside of being an athlete and not being a gymnast anymore, I've learned so much about feeling your body and everything, which I'm thankful for, but it definitely was hard for a while getting to that point. But I've learned like what gives me energy, what I need before a workout, what I need after a workout. And I wish I would have known those things when I was a younger gymnast, that food is fuel and it's going to give you the energy. It's going to protect your body and your muscles, your bones, your mental. Like there's so many things that food gives us. And it's such a important lesson, I think, for young athletes to learn that food's going to give you fuel. Just took me a while to get there, but I'm thankful that I have the knowledge that I have now and thankful for the resources I had at Oklahoma for that.
I think that's such like an important lesson, right? Food is fuel,
Mm-hmm.
which in the world of gymnastics coming out of, the 70s and 80s, where like the smaller you were, the more well rewarded you were.
Mm-hmm.
And there still is a lot of bias about like they always put it in horrible terms like lines and these sort of like aesthetic things that are really about size, that
Yeah.
it's such a tough balance because I feel like gymnasts and coaches are sometimes growing and understanding this much more rapidly than maybe judges.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's such an important lesson. We had Brooklyn Moores was one of the first people we did on this podcast, and she just talked about how like fueling your body makes you a better gymnast, right? Like having energy
Absolutely.
in your body, and even just like it helps you not just heal from injuries better, but also preventing injuries. Because anybody who knows much about exercise, like a lot of the time the injury happens when you're just a little tired and you don't quite have the strength in the right way, the right direction, the right kind of push, and you land wrong because you don't have the strength to stabilize or like whatever. And so like recognizing that like food is not just fuel, it's also like insurance, right? Like it's also like injury prevention. It's, as you said, mental fog, right? It is the like mental power of understanding what you need to do. And especially like, I don't know that we give even enough credit to the like cognitive load of gymnastics, where like the number of things you have to think in your brain while you are doing like a combination floor pass or a beam routine, where you have to think of your extension, your shape, your choreography, your timing, your pacing, the like whether you're hitting the connection, whether your ankles are flexed, right? Like all of these things, your brain is so busy as a gymnast and it's so fast. And so like food being a tool for cognition, I think is also like a really important point to be bringing up.
Yeah, absolutely. Also sleep too. I think food like helps with your sleep. So I think that just having that education as a younger athlete will just help you become a better gymnast, like she said. So
Yeah, I mean, food is important. Food is good for you.
yes.
There is,
And everyone's bodies are different too in gymnastics, which is another like lesson that I learned. With I don't know, everyone's just built differently, so I think that's what makes gymnastics so beautiful too. Everyone's gymnastics is different, everyone's bodies are different, so just learning that too is important for me.
yeah, absolutely. Remembering that there's, and again, not to, I don't mean to draw attention to anyone's bodies, but like you were an elite right after the like Shawn Johnson, Nastia Liukin, like, I mean, you were also competing with them, I suppose, as well, but like in this era of like very, very tall and lean and shorter and very strong.
Yes.
And that kind of like seeing both of them trade off world championship titles and seeing both of them do that, I think is such like a huge lesson for a young gymnast like you. But also like, you know, the world is a tough place to be a young woman.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I want to change subjects a little bit and then talk a little bit more about some spotlight that you've had on you. So you very famously were labeled Athlete A, and there have been a lot of conversations, documentaries, a lot of attention on you and that experience. And we're not here today to talk about everything that led to that experience, but what I am curious about is what your experience was being the spotlight of this documentary and having that sort of like public reflection on a very difficult experience that you had, obviously. What was that like? How did they approach you for this documentary? And then what did it feel like as it came out?
Yeah. I look back now and I'm like, I don't know how I mentally and physically did that at such a young age. I came out publicly my sophomore year of college. And I decided to for various different reasons, but it was just the best decision for me. But I honestly, the documentary, them coming to me, they contacted my parents, and that's how things kind of started moving. But again, I was in full-time school. I was an athlete, traveling, competing, and so I kind of had a lot of different distractions, I guess you could say. But during all of that, like I said, I don't know how I handled all of this because on days off, like I would have interviews, like things like that. And just like the mental load of those, like now for me are pretty hard. And so I kind of like look back at that age of myself and I'm like, wow, like that was pretty like badass of me to do. Like I'm proud of myself for getting through all that. Like honestly don't know how I did it. But I think for me, I really leaned on my community and my support system, my teammates, my family. The coaching staff at Oklahoma was truly amazing, and KJ really helped me get through a lot of that. Just being there for me, talking me through things. She really helped me with a lot. So I don't know. It was a lot, but just leaning on my support system, my community. Gymnastics for me was kind of my distraction, honestly. Going into the gym, working on my routines, working towards my goals, things like that was a really helpful thing for me to kind of get away from the other hard, dark stuff. But yeah, it was just, it was hard, but again, just leaning on my people really helped me.
I mean, it's such a double-edged sword because you were a champion in so many ways, and so you had a lot of eyes on you.
Mm-hmm.
And then as that champion, you also made for a very compelling subject, which also like so in doing so you brought a lot of visibility, I think, to this. Also then so many other gymnasts came forward and brought a lot of visibility to this. As that champion, you had a lot of eyes on you already. Then they chose to use those eyes to like for again, I think this is a very important documentary. That I guess what I'm trying to say is, how do you feel about the fact that like your success brought this attention, and that this attention became such a big part of your legacy?
Yeah. I think that the attention was a great thing, especially in this situation, just because it's such an important topic. And I think that it having a lot of attention reached so many people and reached a lot of people who may have gone through the same thing and allowed them to either speak out or get the help that they needed. But again, just bringing awareness to this type of situation is extremely important because it is so prevalent in gymnastics and in sports and just, I mean, in general. And so obviously it was very hard to go through and process all of it and having all the attention. But again, I think just it spreading awareness and education and just hopefully helping a lot of people helped me kind of get through all of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely one of the most transformational acts I think any gymnast has ever done, right? I said to you in our pre-interview that like I think it is absolutely like an inarguable objective fact that you are a gymnast whose actions have changed the sport for the better, but more so than almost anyone else, right? Like you have this incredible legacy that you have left behind you. Even, I mean, that has made so many people safer. Like this is like incredible. No coach, no other athlete can singularly say that they've done that. And so I do just want to, praise you for that and acknowledge that like you were a teenager when you first said anything, and then a young woman who's also in the middle of college and in the middle of competing on television 15 weeks a year. And you managed to like change the game. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Definitely was challenging, but again, just so many people behind me and just wanted to help as many people as I possibly could. So I really do appreciate all your kind words. That was really nice.
I so appreciate all that you've done in that sense. I'm curious, like, as you then transition out of college and you look back, I mean, you're somebody who's been successful at every level of this sport, and really like at the top of every level of this sport. looking back, like what are the pieces that you hold the most like fondness for, and what are the pieces that you feel like were the biggest kind of fight, the thing that you really had to push through the most?
Yeah. Well, I look back at my career and I really just do smile and appreciate everything and all the experiences and opportunities that I was given and went through. I mean, a lot of my journey, I mean, it wasn't an easy road. I mean, starting from when I was younger, I went through a lot of injuries and had to learn how to mentally and physically, go through that and come back stronger from all of that. And so I really do appreciate all of those struggles that I did go through because it really built me into the athlete that I became. And I was able to, see situations in a more positive light and just learn that every obstacle that I'm going through is either teaching me something, growing me into a better person, a better athlete, and just learning lessons as I was going through. So I really do appreciate all the obstacles and struggles that I did go through because it helped me become the athlete that I became and was able to achieve so many incredible things because of those obstacles. But so many incredible things that I accomplished, I think I remember the most. I mean, I remember obviously, training for world championships and, winning that medal was incredible. But I think what I'll cherish the most is the relationships that I built with athletes and coaches and people that I met all over the world. I think about my career at Oklahoma too. And obviously winning those championships was life-changing and dreams come true and such, yeah, like a dream come true. But I think the things that I hold on to the most is like the early 6 a.m. workouts and just like working and training with my teammates and just I miss those moments so much now. It's such a special opportunity to, be a college athlete and to go through all of that. And so I just really miss those like little moments, the early wake ups, the training sessions, the being on the bus with your team, laughing, listening to music, and just cherishing all of that. Obviously, all the accomplishments are incredible, but it's those little moments that I really look back on and I appreciate the most. But yeah, so many incredible things that I'll hold on to, but it's those little moments for me that I really appreciate and look back on and just smile. But I really have no regrets in my gymnastics career. I know that I did everything that I possibly could. Obviously, it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows, but I again, did everything that I could. I worked my butt off in the gym, accomplished so many incredible things that I obviously don't even know how I did it, but it's just so special. And I'm just grateful for every high, every low, and every in between.
Well, you saying that you miss those 6 a.m. workouts, I couldn't be a member of the Gym Internet without asking, Caitlin Ohashi has just come back, and that's somebody you competed with a lot. And so, I would be curious to see if it's occurred to you that maybe a Maggie Nichols comeback could bring back those 6 a.m. workouts for you, could bring back some camaraderie, some closeness. So what do you say?
Oh, I would absolutely love to. I think that would be incredible, but my body is a little bit, she's done with gymnastics for now. I'll be the number one fan for all the gymnasts now. But bring up Caitlin Ohashi though. I am seriously so impressed with her and so excited to watch her. She's just incredible. But I do miss those 6 a.m. workouts and all of that stuff, but not a comeback for me, I don't think.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. She said she'd love to do that, and that's going to be the clip. That's going to be the clip that we'll use.
There you go.
But yeah, I think that I agree. Seeing Caitlin do this is pretty incredible, and also just fun because when she announced it was sort of like, oh yeah, I bet she has something to say. Like I bet like gymnastically, there's really a story to be told there, and I mean like within her routines, within her sport, like I think that she's got
something to bring. So
she's got something to bring.
Yeah. I was already so impressed with her beam routine, the standing Arabian. I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm just so excited what she's going to bring to the table. And she's just such an incredible gymnast in person. So I'm just so excited.
Yeah. Well, let me ask, what does your sort of mental health maintenance look like now versus what it was like when you were in your competitive years?
Yeah, well, I think I learned so much in my competitive years that I now have such a good handle on it. I mean, I'm doing really well. I kind of have a routine that helps me, stay mentally healthy. A big thing for me, like I've mentioned, is my community and my people that I know I can lean on. Also, getting the help that I need. And also, a big thing for me is having an outlet. I have a few things that I do when either struggling mentally or going through a difficult time that kind of escapes me from it or allows me to process it in a way that is healing for me. So just finding certain outlets in my life really helps me get through. But I'm happy, I'm healthy, I am in just great spirits, which I'm very thankful for. And I learned a lot of those lessons throughout my competitive journey. But I think getting the help that you need, having community, and just having outlets and figuring out what works for you really is important. So
I think that's really, I love especially the piece about community. I think as a therapist, I'm often reminding people that like nothing is so bad that you need to hold it by yourself, right?
mm-hmm.
Like nothing needs to be handled totally alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is kind of the silver a lot of the like depression or trauma, because when you speak out, as you very famously have in lots of ways, right? Like speaking out and naming what's going on then lets people come in and help you, right? It lets people know that you have needs, and that like I think you're such a great example of somebody who, as somebody at the top of everything, as a champion, as a winner in so many ways, you also have needs, you have sensitivities, you have struggles, you have setbacks. I think it's such a powerful example to remind people of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that I struggled with, like a lot of my competitive journey, I think I recently just learned that you can ask for help and it's okay to ask for help. I think for a long time I was like, I can handle it myself. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to absorb it myself. But asking for help, just taking that step helps so much. And that has helped me a lot throughout my journey. And it's okay to ask for help, and it'll help so much. So just leaning on people and asking when you need it is truly so important.
Yeah. It's a skill, right? Like it's something that you have to learn how to do. So you can start small, you can start in little ways, and then you can eventually build up and ask for like bigger things. But like knowing how to ask for help is so huge.
Yes.
And again, just a great example for folks, particularly in a sport where like perfection is the thing that is
Yeah.
expected
Mm-hmm.
and or demanded, depending on where you're at. Well, I'm so grateful that you have been so willing to take the time and talk with us. I think you're such, as I said, like just an incredible example of what you can do with like courage and grit and determination and a willingness to like to challenge yourself to make an impact. And you've really done that.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so grateful and honored to be on this podcast, and it was amazing to be able to share a little bit about my journey, and I really do appreciate this space.
Well, we are so happy to have you. I will say myself, Ashley and Brittany at All Things Gymnastics are huge fans of yours. Still geeking out about your gymnastics, and just also like so happy to see the like life and success and the ways in which you've grown. It's so cool. Well, everyone out there, thank you so much for listening. This has been another episode of Mental Gymnastics, part of the All Things Gymnastics podcast. We'll be back next month with another interview. And thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful day.